You are listening to Balloon Killers. I'm your host, Chrissy Riley, and each episode I'll be talking to someone from the world of cowboy mounted shooting, which is one of the most exciting and fastest growing equestrian sports. Hold on to your hats because it's going to get Western. Hello, shooters. How is it that we are already in December and so close to 2025? I swear it's just been a couple of months since we turned the corner into 2024. So I guess it's true what they say, that time flies when you're having fun, and I'm certainly having a lot of fun recording this podcast and doing lots of shooting. I hope that you all had a happy Thanksgiving. I'm sure you're tired of me all talking about it by now, but of course I was in Tombstone for Thanksgiving at the Tombstone Ghost Rider shoot, and it was really quite lovely. I would highly recommend that shoot to everyone because it had this very small town welcoming feeling. Everyone was just so kind and welcoming, but there was also a really high level of competition and a lot of people signed up. And of course, there's nothing better than some winter sun right after a snowfall back home. So people in the north, if you're looking for some winter sun next Thanksgiving, I would highly recommend the Tombstone Ghost Rider shoot. A real highlight for me was getting to meet and squeeze Carrie Hirschberg in person, and she was just as lovely in real life as she was on the podcast. And it was great to meet her husband Trevor, Corbett and Kim, and Diana Olson, who was doing an amazing job behind the scenes, making the shoot a big success. I didn't end up shooting on Mr. Bear, my newer horse, because right before the trip, thanks to some time with the amazing Dee Chapman, I realized I have become very one-track minded with him, and I know that's really easy to do, but it's resulting in me pushing him too hard and too fast, and he really just wasn't ready for Tombstone. He's young, so there are some fundamental things that I haven't been doing enough of with him, and it was really causing some issues. However, on the positive side, a couple of days before I left, I had the best ride that I've had on him in months because we slowed down and worked on some fundamentals. So now I'm aiming for January for his first main match, and it's always good to have that reminder that it's important to not be one-track minded and to slow down sometimes. My guest for this episode is only 23 years old, but she is incredibly accomplished for her age. Jessica Emmons is originally from Lamar, Colorado, but she now lives in Valley Center, California. She's studying for her master's in law from ASU and will be graduating this month, and she works in business admin for a jewelry wholesaler. She's been shooting since she was about 7 years old, and she currently holds 2 world records, one of them being from the World Championships this year. Well, we just started a new year, a new shooting year, but how was the last shooting year for you? What were some of your successes and challenges?
Yeah, I had a really good year this last year. I got to go to quite a few majors, starting off in Queen Creek at the Winter Championships. I honestly was having some horse trouble there. I had just started shooting on this horse last year, and she has not wanted to take to the shooting very well, but we had some problems in Queen Creek, and then she just finished off the season amazing at the World Championships this year. So it's really been super neat season for me, I feel like, because I had some trouble starting the year and then ended just on a super high note at the Worlds.
Isn't it so nice to see the growth too?
Oh, yes, it's been just amazing to see the growth with this horse and us working together and going through that with her all year.
Yeah, it can be so frustrating. I know that when I started my mare, She was very, she was really not into it at all. And it was very frustrating, especially because I wanted to start getting competitive.
Yes, absolutely. I think it is so frustrating, asking a horse to start out as a level 6 is a lot,
Yeah.
and shooting is a lot in general. So it can be super frustrating when they don't want to take to it. And I had been trying for so long with this horse. I've owned her for 8 years, and last year was the first year that I ever even ran her in main match because it just took so long to get her going in shooting.
Well, congratulations. It sounds like you ended the year on such a high note. Now, I know that you've been shooting for a very long time, which is incredible for someone as young as you are. But what was it like growing up in mounted shooting? Tell us about your journey and how it got you to where you are now.
Yeah, so I started shooting, I think I was around 8 years old, and I'm 23 now. So I've been shooting almost my entire life, and I've got to see the sport grow from then. And it's been really cool growing up around all of these people in shooting. Like, they truly are like family. I have known them basically my entire life. And I think that's just been a super cool aspect of shooting to me, that it's not just going to a sport and competing, but I know so many people in shooting, and I'm close to so many people in shooting that it's introduced me to my best friends and to so many people. So that's something that I really value about growing up in the sport.
How do you think the way that the sport is organized to have wranglers first and then moving into shooting? I mean, was it always like that? Was it like that when you were younger? And how did that prepare you for where you're at now?
Yeah, so it was like that when I was younger. I know that they used to have a class called juniors, but I never experienced that. I started when they already had the Wrangler Limiteds and then Wrangler Opens. And I think it was so beneficial. I mean, otherwise, the kids really aren't getting into shooting at all if you don't have that division. And so I started as a Wrangler Limited, and as a little kid, the patterns are so confusing. You watch all the Wranglers and they're like looking for their parents, trying to tell them
Uh-huh.
where to go. And so I think that having the Wrangler Limiteds where they can learn all the patterns, and they really learn a lot of horsemanship that way because they're having to run so many different patterns. And
Hmm.
then the Wrangler Opens were super beneficial. I think it's great that you get counted on actually pointing at the balloons. When I was a Wrangler Open, I was dry firing at all of the balloons with real pistols, and I had very small hands. I was super small, and I think it would have just been such a big change at 12 years old trying to shoot real guns for the first time if I
Hmm.
hadn't been a Wrangler, because it was so hard for me to build that muscle memory in my hands because I was so little.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, you've been shooting for a really long time. I would call you a veteran of the sport at this point. What do you
Yes.
love about the sport?
Oh, there's so many things that I really enjoy about it. I love just getting to hang out with everyone there. Everyone at Shoots is so welcoming, and really it feels like a place that it's a vacation, and we all spend so much time like working towards it, and we obviously have goals and are super competitive, but even just in my class, like the girls that I'm competing against, we're still friends. And I think that's a really cool aspect of the sport.
I think that's something that a lot of people say when I interview them, that the people really are the thing that they love about the sport, because it does sort of feel like a big family. And it's definitely something that I've appreciated about it as well. And in fact, one of my first shoots was a Mounted Thunder shoot that you were at. I think it was a Valentine's Day shoot. And I
Yeah.
remember you helping me to get my picture with the heart and the
Oh my
props and
God.
everything. And you were so friendly, and your mom was so friendly. And just that sort of introduction to the sport made it feel very welcoming and made me want to keep doing it. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, that's so cool to hear.
Now, you
Yeah,
recently moved from Colorado to California. What has
yes.
that been like, and how, if at all, has that impacted your shooting?
Yeah, so I grew up in Colorado and I moved from Colorado to California in July of last year and with my horse. And it definitely has impacted my shooting and my riding a lot. So I moved here to live with my boyfriend, Dylan Lawson, and his dad, Kenny, is a horse trainer and has been training horses for a very long time and just has so much knowledge. And the whole Lawson family has helped me so much in shooting and riding. It has definitely made me such a better rider. Like I was saying earlier, that I was really struggling with my horse in February. She wouldn't even cross the timer in Queen Creek, and I was just getting so frustrated. And it was just so cool to be able to come home and reevaluate, and Kenny really helped me just start with the ABCs on her and get her to the point that she was at the World Championships. I would not have been able to do that on my own. And I've never had a trainer before, like I've never worked under anybody. You know, all of my shooting was just learning as I went. My parents got me into riding horses, and so to have that was just so cool to really be able to help me grow as a shooter and mostly as a rider.
That's great. Now, I've been told that you tried out for Miss Rodeo Colorado and you actually did really well. So, how, if at all, did mounted shooting play a role in that? And tell us about the process.
Yeah, I tried out for Miss Rodeo Colorado in 2022, and that was a goal of mine since I was really little. I met the first Miss Rodeo Colorado that I had met. I was, I think, 13 years old, maybe a little younger. And then it was just something I had my sights set on for a long time. And in shooting, I really didn't have my own horse for most of my mounted shooting career. And a lot of people have let me just jump ride their horses. And part of the Miss Rodeo Colorado competition is jump riding a horse. You don't get to warm it up. You walk it in the arena, get on it in front of the judges, and do a reining pattern. And I won the horsemanship award at the Miss Rodeo Colorado finals. And I really attribute that to all of the horses that I've been able to run in mounted shooting, because you're doing so much when you're shooting to be able to jump ride a horse too. And so that really helped me in the Miss Rodeo Colorado tryouts.
That's a huge accomplishment, too. So, congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
You've already been very successful in mounted shooting, and you're clearly a very accomplished horsewoman, as you just described in winning the horsemanship at Miss Rodeo Colorado. Who have been some of the people who've shaped that journey?
Oh my gosh. Like I said, so many people have let me borrow horses in shooting. My parents got me into riding since I was born, and there have just been so many people who have played a role in where I'm at today. I had my own horse from a ladies one to a two, but then from then on, I did not have my own horse until this horse that I started running last year. So I ran a lot of people's horses. My stepdad, Axel Turner, let me ride his two horses a lot from in the last like 5 years. And those are the horses that I moved up to a six on. And so he's been super gracious in letting me run his horses so much. And then just in the last year and a half, being able to ride with the Lawsons has really rounded out my journey, I feel like. And I just don't think that I would be where I am with this horse if it weren't for them. So there's just so many people in mounted shooting who have really shaped my journey in riding horses and in mounted shooting.
I love that people in mounted shooting are always so helpful and want to support other people in getting better in the sport. So you talked a lot about horses there and how you've jump ridden a lot of horses, but tell us about any of the horses that have been instrumental in your horsemanship and your mounted shooting journey.
I would say the horse of Axel's, my stepdad, that I rode, her name is Mocha. I rode her for about 3 years, and she's the horse that I moved up to a level 6 on, and she is now 22 years old. But last year at the World Championships, I broke my first world record on her. And so she has just played a huge role in mounted shooting. She gave me a lot of confidence, and she's just one of those horses that makes it so easy to shoe. And it's really hard to find a horse that is that level, but is also an easy ride. And so she
Mhm.
has definitely been instrumental in that. And then the horse that I have now has really taught me so much. Her name is Nova. I've just learned so much on her and being able to shape her. And this last year at this World Championships last month, I broke a world record on her. And that was really just a highlight for me to have spent so much time on her and gotten to that point. So I would say those two horses have been the most instrumental.
I'm going to change directions a little bit. And this is a question that I ask everybody who comes on the podcast. But what's the one shoot that you don't miss each year?
My absolute favorite shoe is Las Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if you get that super often, but it is just so cool to say that we shoot in Las Vegas, to be competing in Las Vegas. I just think that shoot has such a cool energy. I mean, it is just so exciting, and I love the arena there. I love shooting in Vegas. It's so exciting just pulling in and staying in right there with your horses in the casino. I That's the shoot that if I had to choose one every year to go to, it would be that one.
That's tally three for that shoot now. So I
That's
really am
awesome.
feeling the peer pressure to go to this one next year
Oh,
because
you have to.
everyone's saying exactly the same thing that it is such a fun shoot.
Yes.
How about your favorite pattern? What's your favorite pattern and why?
Oh, I really don't have a specific favorite pattern. I like so many of them. I mean, I have to say that one of my favorites would be the pattern that I set the world record on at World, because how can I not say that it's
Mhm.
one of my favorites? Another one of my favorites, I might have to pull up the course number really quick for you, because I just don't know how to describe it. But it really does not get ran very often at the majors. Okay, course number 25. It has 3 barrels in it. And I just think it's a lot of turning, but it's really about being smooth. It's one of those patterns where there's not a ton of corners you can cut. There's not really anything but just taking a good smooth line and being able to turn and run hard. And I think that's what I like about it, is that it's really just about being smooth and being really connected to your horse in that pattern.
That's so interesting. And I think I've got so much to learn as a level one because I'm always about the pattern that's like the straight down and straight back because then I don't have to worry about turning any corners or messing up the pattern in any way. So I am excited to get to the point where I want to see multiple barrels in a pattern.
I think you will get there for sure. There's just so many patterns in our book that it's so overwhelming. And even now, like every shoot that I go to and I'm at the major, I'm like, oh, I'm scared to look at the patterns. Like there's just so many to choose from, and you'll just have to get comfortable with all of them because you never know what they're gonna pick.
Yeah, that night before nerves when they get uploaded to CMSA and you're like, are they in yet? Oh
Yeah.
no, there they are. What are they?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, what about the win that you're most proud of? What is the win that you're most proud of and why?
I would have to say maybe this isn't a win, because it's not an overall or anything like that, but the world record that I broke at the World Championships, and like I've talked about on this horse, I think that that is just the one that I am most proud of. And growing up in Colorado and trying to shoot on her for so long, it was just so cool that so many Colorado people were like, I can't believe that you did that on this horse. Like, we've seen you on this horse for so long. And that was just such a cool feeling to be able to grow with Nova so much from owning her for 8 years. That just really felt like a culminating point that I was really proud of being able to accomplish in that pattern. And it was in the qualifying, so it wasn't in the finals or anything, but that was just such a huge accomplishment that I don't think very many people get to do, especially on a horse that they've taken that far. And that was just something I was super proud of.
I can completely understand that after the journey that you had with her and the celebration of your horse and the work that you've done together. Well, everyone knows you as a mounted shooter and as a very, very accomplished mounted shooter. But what's a little known fact about you that the mounted shooting community might not know?
Mm, I have a lot of little hobbies. One thing is that I love to read. I read a lot of books, and I don't think very many people know that about me. I would sit down with a book over watching a movie or TV every day.
What are you reading right now?
Oh, I am reading a thriller book called The Handmaid. But I read a ton of different genres of books, but mostly non-academic since I'm still in school and I get enough academic education from school that I don't really read many academic books for fun right now.
Yeah, I remember when I was at school for my doctorate, the last thing I wanted to do was to read a non-fiction book when
Yes.
I in my free time, and I was all about the fantasy or like complete
Yes.
escapism.
Absolutely. I love fantasy books. I love all of those books that just take you to a different world. Like, let me just not think about reality for a little bit.
Yep, I can completely understand that. Now, this is kind of a weird question, but it's also one that I've been asking everybody because I think it's people give us some interesting tips through this question. But what's the most useful thing in your trailer when you're on the road, and what should we all have?
One thing that I would say for horses, I always bring electrolytes and poultice. They're just something that I have to take to every major. If my horse's legs get even a little bit of swelling, I lather them in poultice, even when they don't. If you look at my horse standing in the stall at night, you're going to think I'm crazy because she is covered in poultice from her hooves up to her shoulders. So that is one thing that I absolutely take with me everywhere.
I'm making a note of all of these things because I'm slowly filling my trailer with the things that everyone recommends. So, where next? You've accomplished so much already, but what are your plans and ambitions for the future?
We have a few shoots in California here in the next couple months. We really don't have a ton of shoots here, so I'm excited to go to some smaller shoots. And then after that, I'm planning on going to the whole shooting extravaganza deal that's happening in Arizona in February with the regionals and the classic and winters. So that is the plan for right now. And then we'll see where the rest of the year takes me. I would love to be able to go to Las Vegas again for sure, but we'll just have to see.
And is Nova your main shooting horse now?
Yes, Nova will for sure be my main shooting horse at all of the shoots that I can take her to. So that will be super exciting. We finish off on a really good note here, so I'm really excited to see what she can do in the next season.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you and she accomplish in the next season as well. And I'm wishing you all the best for the coming year. And thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I love that you're doing this podcast. We're so busy at shoots, we don't get to visit with everyone that you want to talk to. So getting to hear other people's stories is really cool.
Thanks to Jess for taking the time away from studying to talk to me, and congratulations to her on her upcoming graduation. I'm working on a Balloon Killers challenge for newer shooters for the month of January, so stay tuned for more info. And as always, if there are balloon killers you would like to hear interviewed, please email me on balloonkillers@gmail.com. That's balloonkillers, all one word, @gmail.com.